Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. So glad you're with us on this Tuesday morning. So right now, as you wake up, we're just about 3 weeks away from the third presidential debate down in Miami, Florida, as the field continues to take shape.
And joining us now is one of the candidates still in the race, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Allison. Good morning, Rob. Great to be with you.
Great to have you back.
Yeah, Governor, so I want to start, we were talking to you during the break. So next debate, 3 weeks away. Are you going to be on the debate stage?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We're looking forward to it.
All right. So you said you made the donor threshold, which they increased that as well.
Yeah,
the
to
number.
70,000. So we've cleared that. And then we've also, Iowa and New Hampshire polls, we've cleared that. And then we've got the one a national poll that we need to clear. And then we're there, just like last time.
What do you make of, in the Daily Caller, picked up on this yesterday, after conservative backlash, the RNC gave the third presidential debate to NBC News. And I'm not going to say they gave it to NBC News instead of Newsmax, but they gave it to NBC News instead of Newsmax. And it's bizarre to me, because these are GOP primaries, and say what you will about the way the first two debates were handled. This is not on the moderators. I think it's on the networks and the RNC. But why would you not play home court advantage and give these debates to networks that are more conservative? I think I can say that.
Well, I think it's a clear, easy point, Rob. And also, I think the idea that somehow we're trying to nationalize the primary. The whole point of presidential primaries, Theodore Roosevelt helped create those over 100 years ago to take the power out of either big media or political bosses and insiders. And now we've got a couple people that are making up clubhouse rules about, trying to narrow the field when, in fact, that's the job of voters.
I get that, but let's look at the second debate. And I thought you had a great second debate in Simi Valley out there at the Reagan Library. But Fox clearly made a business decision incorporating Univision. I didn't think the Univision anchor asked a single question that actually mattered to GOP voters. And that's where we are right now in this race.
Well, I think, again, I'd love to talk about the issues that's going on in the world right now, because that's why I'm running. But the last thing I'll say on this debate is yes, I mean, it's turned into political theater. It's turned into reality TV. It's turned into trying to generate inter-candidate conflict for clickbait. And it's not helping the voters. I mean, the point of a presidential debate, the gravitas of that is to help people understand who's on stage, what they can bring, what their skills and backgrounds are. And that's not happening. But I would just say, right now, I mean, the whole reason we decided to run was because of three things: the economy, energy, and national security. When we announced on June 7th, we said, Biden, 180 degrees in the wrong direction. And you just have to ask yourself, just in the 4 months we've been campaigning, is anybody in America better relative to the economy? No. Is anybody better relative to energy policy? No. And are we better from a security standpoint around the world? No. And Biden's policies right now, he's actually, with the support that he's given Iran is supporting Russia with drones. They're supporting Hamas and Hezbollah. We've got a president that's funding both sides of the war. It's not a question of who do we support. We've got to support our allies. He's supporting both sides. And so it doesn't matter whether he's in the United States or flying to Israel today. His policies are destabilizing the world, empowering dictators. And what did I say on day one? I said we should be buying energy. We should be selling energy to our friends and allies, stop buying it from our enemies. And then yesterday he announces that he's dropping sanctions on Venezuela, but that's on page, like 16. Yeah. And that's like 700,000 barrels of oil a day that's going to take away from, that could be supplied by cleaner, safer, better by U.S. production. And so the whole thing doesn't make any sense to me. This is the appeasement that we saw before World War II. I mean, give him the Neville Chamberlain Award to Biden, because what he's doing with Russia, with China, with Iran, with all these countries is literally making the world less safe, and it's making Americans not only less safe, but it's actually the inflation that it's driving is reaching into everybody's savings and just grabbing their savings and stealing it.
And you haven't been focused on Donald Trump and other candidates in the GOP field. I mentioned Trump just because he remains the front runner in every poll that we've had so far. You're focused on Joe Biden. Talk about the parallels that you just mentioned. It was during a debate when Ronald Reagan said, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And he won in 1980 and beat Jimmy Carter. So many parallels between what's happening right now in the Middle East, Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter, a Democratic president, hugely unpopular, Iran, a hostage crisis that's playing out, an energy crisis here at home and abroad. What do you make of the parallel between the two?
Well, it's striking. And of course, what happened is we had Ronald Reagan, a Western governor, that rode in, fixed inflation, and won a Cold War. And we've got a Western governor in the race. Hello.
Are you Western?
I certainly,
North Dakota?
You go to Western North Dakota, it's Western, man.
Yeah,
Cowboy
good.
up,
Yeah,
man.
it's a big state. That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right. We are.
Okay.
We are absolutely. But I would just say we've got an opportunity here to, if we can fix the economy, we fix our energy policies, we make the right choices on national security, and we can improve every American life. That's why we're in this race. But absolutely, there's a parallel. But it's more complex. When Ronald Reagan was winning the Cold War against Russia, Russia had a small economy and they weren't interconnected. Now we've got to win a Cold War against China, which has got the second largest economy in the world, and we're interconnected. Plus, we're in an actual proxy war with Russia, and now we're in a proxy war with Iran. It's more complicated. But it can all be done. Part of it is because we're in the spot we're in is because of Joe Biden's policies. Not the world became less stable because of Joe Biden's policies, not because, I mean, when you create a vacuum, when you pull out of Afghanistan, when you green light Putin that it's okay to invade Ukraine, when you let all of Western Europe become dependent on Russian energy, these are the things that create the instability that we have right now. And when I'm your president, this isn't going to happen because we will get back to having peace through strength. We'll be selling energy to our friends and allies, not buying it from our enemies, and we'll take inflation down where it needs to because we'll stop all the crazy spending that's going on.
Yeah, a lot of it, too. You think about this whole foreign policy issue with all of these countries, a lot of it has to do with energy, right? If you think about it. And, you know, during a campaign, I know the economy is always important. Obviously, we're talking about security and the border. But foreign policy now, considering, you know, what's happened in Ukraine, what's going on now in Israel, is going to be a very, very big topic, you know, for all candidates running. And I think, you know, you compare yourself to Joe Biden, and again, look at where we were a few years ago and compared to now. When you go on the road, how important is foreign policy and our safety and border to people you talk to?
Well, borders is completely and totally on everyone's mind. And just think about it. Since Joe Biden took office, it's the equivalent of every man, woman, and child in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, Delaware, his home state, and Montana. That's 6.5 million people. That's how many people have come across the border with papers since Joe Biden. I've been down to the border.
How many on the terror watch list,
Right.
by the way?
Well, record numbers.
Yeah, that we know of.
And when I was down, I've been down there more times than Joe Biden. And when I've been down there, it's not just Latin American countries. It's over 100 countries. It is everybody we're talking about. It's Syria, it's Iran, it's China. These are all countries that have identified coming across. But they have another thing on their metric board, and that's known gotaways. 1.5 million people have been seen on camera that just walked through, but nobody was there because the Border Patrol can't get on the border because they're back doing the paperwork to process everybody. And you talk to the leaders in the Border Patrol, it's like we're defunding the police in some large, you know, blue metros. We are defunding the Border Patrol effectively.
Hands are tied. Yeah.
Governor, great having you back in this morning. Good to see you. I don't think the camera can pick it up, but before that first debate, you injured your leg playing pickup basketball, and you're still walking with a little bit of a limp. When can we expect full recovery?
Another 4 weeks, but in the first debate, it was voted best presidential debate performance ever by someone standing on one leg.
Yes,
and so
yes.
it was
I'd have to
24 hours before.
It's either going to be the best thing for your campaign or the worst, but we wish you the best in your recovery.
Yeah.
Good
Great.
to see you,
Rob,
Governor.
Allison,
Great
thank
to
you.
see you. Thank you, sir.
All right, lots more coming up here on Wake Up America on this Tuesday morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back.